Hello, my cutie friends. It is time for our very first quarterly update of 2026. So in this quarterly or seasonal video, what I do is I go through all the videos that I made and I talk about my favorite book from each video, and then I get into stats, and then I talk about my very favorites. Like I tell you a quick synopsis or why I loved like the 5 best books of the season, 5 worst books of the season, and then a little community moment where I don't know, answer any questions or talk about anything I feel like talking about. And I actually already messed up because I said that in the wrong order. The first thing we do is stats. So I read 66 books in the first quarter. So January, February, March, I read 23 books, 20 books, and 23 books respectively. I think in total I'm missing 6 books that I couldn't re-reserve from the library, or like I never had a physical copy of them. So here beside me, I have 60 of the books that I read. And for my stats page, what we can reflect on here is I had the great fortune of finding 8 5-star reads this quarter, which I think is really good. And then 4 more of those were above a 4-star. So I have 12 books in total that I loved. My average rating of the quarter, you already would know if you watch all my wrap-ups, because every single month I had the same average rating, which is a 3.8. So that means for the quarter, my average rating remains a 3.8. Last year, I was chasing a 3.7. I've been talking about wanting to get back to a 3.7 so badly. I can't even remember what I ended up at, 3.5, 3.6. So being at a 3.8, granted the first quarter of the year always tends to be my best because I'm usually doing a lot of reading people's favorites. And I did do a chunk of that, but less than normal. And I think I'm giving up on some books if I feel like they're gonna be 3s. And so my stats here feel pretty great that I had 33 4-stars and only 17 3-stars, 4 2-stars, 2 1-stars, and 2 unrated. I'm mostly read physically and then followed closely by a mix. So that's like when I'm tandem reading. And then I did 10 books exclusively as audiobooks. The biggest pie is new books that I purchased, but I did read 14 off of my own TBR. So that's great. And 19 from the library, 4 that were sent to me. That seems pretty usual. And this was like the new to me era, apparently. 75% of my reads were authors that I've never read from before. As far as genres, fantasy and fiction are tied at 15 books each. And then historical fiction, I read 10 of those. 6 mystery, 6 romance, 5 sci-fi, 4 horror. 3 nonfiction, 2 anthologies. I don't know that I have much commentary about all of these things. There are genres I feel like I should be reading more of, but considering my reading is going pretty well. It's interesting too that like almost none of the historical fiction I selected for myself. They're mostly for videos, and a lot of them went so well. So me and historical fiction are getting along. For videos, in the past 12 weeks, I posted 11 vlogs and 11 sit-down videos. The sit-down videos were like wrap-ups, new releases, guessing people's favorites, hauls, seasonal TBRs, a trope assessment, book cover designing. And then for my vlogs, let's go through them all. The most amount of books that I read for a vlog was trying to read like a purple reader. It was this reading assessment, you get assigned a color, and I'm supposed to like a certain type of book. So I read that certain type of book for a week. Last year or the year before, I remember saying I want to start turning my 5 book vlogs into 4 book vlogs, and now suddenly I'm doing vlogs full of like 7 books. But this is just because I kept feeling like I hadn't fully completed my goal. And my favorite from all of these, actually I had 2 5-stars from this video: The Mezzanine by Nicholson Baker and Vigil by George Saunders. I read 8 books for that video. Actually, I said 7, but it was 8. I read 7 books in this video where I was reading divisive favorites that everybody who I've seen reviewed it either gave it a glowing 5-star or hated it and gave it 1 star. And I agreed with The Lovers of Exiles by Mason Coyle. This was a 5-star. And then my other favorite from the video was Notes on Infinity by Austin Taylor, which I'd like never heard of before. I read 6 books in this video where I was trying to make myself cry, and I successfully completed that challenge. I didn't hate anything from that video, so that's exciting. Highest rated from that video, a 5-star, The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali. But I also gave a 4.25 to both Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Stone, and In Memoriam by Alice Wynne. I completed 5 books in a romantasy video where I just wanted to read some of the new romantasy that was coming out. Nothing in here was above a 4, but I had a really good time with Weaving Shaw by Hiba al-Wasiti. I read 5 books in this video where I was stealing book recommendations from other people's audiences, and the best one from here was Paradise Logic by Sophie Kemp, but I also gave a high 4 to It's Different This Time by Joss Richard. Then we have my alphabet video series that I started. I did 2 episodes. In both of them, I read 4 books each. So how fun in this stack. It goes all the way from A to H. And my favorite from here was Beautyland by Marie-Helene Bertino. But a high 4 also went to Candelaria by Melissa Lozado Oliva. I read, I think 4 books, maybe I'm missing one, from a video where I was just reading some random people's favorites from various social media, and nothing here was above a 4. But these were all, in fact, 4s. Then we had 3 episodes of the Buzzword Reading Challenge every single month. For 3 of those months and 3 of those videos, I picked up a Veronica Speedwell, and then I also read a couple random things. One of them I'm missing, and everything here was a 4 or below. Then this stack of books wasn't for a specific video, but various content or reasons. So I did a besties video for my channel members where I read one of my library books, and then I immediately went out and purchased a copy of this for myself because it was a 5-star, of The Other Side of Now by Paige Harbison. Also with the besties, we had a book club pick. So we have like an hour-long live show discussing Audition by Katie Kitamura, which I also gave 5 stars. Of course, we had the Literally Dead book club, and then these 3 were books that I read because I pulled them out of my members' TBR jar for each month, 1 a month. And finally, this stack of books that I just read because I felt like it in between content and videos. These are some of the things that I picked up. Was anything here 5 stars? No, but I would say these 2 were my biggest wins. Burned Down Master's House by Clay Kane and Love is an Algorithm by Laura Brooke Robson. So those are the stats, those are the videos, and then I'm supposed to pick my top 5 of the season to tell you the synopsis for. Look at how many books I had over a 4-star. And I have to narrow this down to my 5 favorites. Well, I don't have to. I guess I'm in charge. Okay, I can narrow it down to 6, so that's what I'm gonna do. The Mezzanine by Nicholson Baker is this one man's escalator ride where there's very little plot, and he's just thinking about all the decisions that he made throughout his day. I wouldn't recommend this to very many people, but I thought it was fantastic. Vigil by George Saunders is a woman in the afterlife who ferries people who have just died into the afterlife as well. And it's her like musings about people. And then we have a character we're focused on who she needs to take over. But he doesn't really have many regrets or musings about his life, which is what she is used to and expects, and especially from this type of a terrible individual. I think it really subverts that kind of purgatory trope. The Other Side of Now is a story of a woman who sees a different version of her life and gets to live it. And it was really nice, even though it deals with fame, which is pretty big for me to end up liking. Paradise Logic has a main character, kind of surrealist. It just feels absurd, actually absurd, not surreal. It's just an absurd mind that we're in of this woman obsessed with becoming the perfect girlfriend. And she wants her entire life to revolve around this man. Any man really, but she just selects someone. She's like, I'm going to be everything that he wants. And yeah, it was a really fun time. The Stationery Shop, very different vibe. We are following this character who has her great love story at a young age and then gets separated from this man, goes to a different country to live a different life, lives for many years but never forgets that one true love that she met in the stationery shop. And then Audition, how would I describe this very quickly? It's a story told in 2 parts where we have a woman and she's being confronted by somebody who thinks that they're related or that they know each other in some capacity. Meanwhile, she just thinks that they are like kind of co-workers, and their relationship and the relationship with everyone else in her life gets tested and explored. And another one that deals with acting, not so much fame, but performance. Those were my absolute best vibes of the quarter. And I feel like what a lot of people do with their reading, not me, because I think I'm just so focused on what's next and what's coming that I don't do a lot of reflection that informs what I'm going to read in the future. But if we look at this and we figure out what kind of themes could be present in my, let's say, like top 25% of what I've read this quarter, I think we could definitely pull out some things, some commonalities of this stack of like really successful 4s and 5s. The romance I enjoyed most of the quarter. I mean, they all have similar covers, but I think that these are more, I wouldn't call any of them like really sentimental moving romances, but I think they're more heartfelt than the typical rom-coms that I go for. Like this one was really messy. This one had a grief storyline, but the characters were fun. I think it's like fun, interesting characters in more intense settings and not your traditional protagonist necessarily. This one's probably the most traditional, and this one also has to deal with fame. Like she's an actor taking some time off to figure out this inheritance that they're getting. Then historical love stories were really doing it for me. Ones that were equally heartbreaking and heartwarming. As usual, the kind of surrealist concepts were working for me. The ones with a strange writing style worked for me. I liked the ones that dealt with technology, but were also a lot slower paced and mundane than I think most people are probably looking for. And also ones that focused on people's jobs and careers and workplace stuff. And then, you know, following some more like kind of batshit characters. As far as least favorites, I only had 5-6 books that I rated under 3 stars, which is pretty fab. Breathe and Bleed Out by Brian McCulley. A group of people go to this retreat. People start dying. It felt like a very bro-y horror to me, even though we have a female protagonist, and then therefore I expected a lot more slasher goriness and didn't really get that, even though people were dying. It was your classic women making stupid decisions, men being evil kind of story. Books and Bewitchments by Isla Jewell was just very uninspired in my opinion. Classic story of a girl who moves to a town, gets an inheritance, gets in touch with her magic, but the community wasn't like warm and inviting. The magic barely got explored. The romantic relationship was boring. It all just felt very half-baked. Speaking of baking and eating, Girl Dinner by Olivia Blake. This genuinely felt like it didn't have very much thought behind it, and it was just taking a lot of common themes, trends happening right now, and just throwing them in a book without a lot of plan. The opinions of everybody was so much at the forefront and like commentary on things that it just felt like watching a 3-hour-long YouTube video essay. Cross My Heart by Megan, oh, I can't remember the author's name. This was, at the end of the day, essentially just about 5 women obsessed with the same mediocre white man, and like, what was the point? There was death and stalking and things, sure, but it was never interesting. And then the worst book that I read, Reign of Shadows and Endings by Melissa Rorick, I think. I think this was also not a very fully thought out plot. We have 2 people just disagreeing with each other for 700 pages. It's fairy stuff, but it was never fun. I don't think it was trying to be fun, but it could have been fun. And if it wanted to be dark, it wasn't like dark and questionable enough. But this one, especially of the 5, I guess I'm the outlier for, but maybe because the people who typically pick it up are ones who are set out to enjoy it to begin with, and like, I don't know if I would ever have loved this type of story. But it's fun once in a while to pick up a book that you know you're gonna end up ranting about, and I only did it like 5 times this entire quarter. Speaking of ranting, there is an entire spin-off video for members that I filmed in the moment, spoiling all 5 of those books and just ranting for like 40 minutes. Then a quick community segment. I wanted to just thank you, first of all, for supporting my quote-unquote mood reading era, where I just am honing in, not even the books necessarily, but the content, where I'm thinking more about picking things, video ideas, and books, I guess, that I want to read more than just fitting like the concept. I've really liked diving into my TBR closet, and there was a couple comments that came in telling me how to help with the letters that I'm missing. And one of the most liked ideas was when I get to letters I don't have like X and Y, doing book titles, if I can find them, that have like the word Y to represent the letter Y, or the word X, or like the sound X in place of starting with the letter X. So that's definitely something to consider. I love reading your comments. It's my favorite thing to do. I read every single one of them. And then you also give me a lot of information I didn't already have, which is very fun. So like, somebody let me know when the tides held the moon, these illustrations that I was gagging over, like loving. I was informed that it's actually the author who made all of these, which I think is so cool, and I didn't look into it, I didn't know. I also got so many recommendations, thank you so much, for miniseries, mystery ones to watch with my husband because we checked out His and Hers and loved it even though I didn't like the book. So we tried out 56 Days, did not like that. But ones that came in were like Defending Jacob, The Chestnut Man, like anything by Harlan Coben, I guess, Missing You, Fool Me Once, Sharp Objects, which I didn't like the book so I never checked out the show, but maybe I will now. Task, and then Mayor of Easttown came up a couple times, which I've never heard of. So I have a lot of things to look into. Thank you so much. And then of course the joy everybody felt for me when I became the Booster Juice name of the day. That was a big day for all of us. And I'm so glad it happened and that you feel happy for me and that you feel sad for me, because a lot of people commented that they were crying when I was crying in my crying video, which is not something that's ever happened to me personally. So I just don't have that empathetic part of my body. So I guess thank you for making me cry with the book recommendations, and sorry for then making you cry by watching me cry. Oh, I got a bunch of comments asking me about bowling. There was this video where we all went bowling and the balls were really small and people were wondering if bowling was just different in Canada. And so I thought I would just let you know there is 5-pin bowling. That is the standard here with the big balls. There also is 10-pin bowling with little balls, and there's only a couple lanes. There's probably like 30 lanes in that entire building, and there's only like 2 that use the little balls. And we specifically chose that one because Liam had sprained his wrist, and so I thought he could hold the little balls better. Oh, and then I got so many comments telling me they were buying Weaving Shaw. I think there are other books that I influenced more people to pick up this season. However, this one meant a lot to me. I have an agenda with it because I want to make sure that this author gets her flowers and that the series continues to be published. So everyone who left me a comment saying that they purchased Weaving Shaw because of me, thank you so much. And you're welcome, because I know you're liking it. For the Read Your Color video, I think I got like 300 comments on it, and the majority of people who shared their color, I would say like 70% of the people who shared their color also got purple. So I think that's really fun. And I may or may not have an arc on its way from the author of the book that he's publishing connected to the whole Read Your Color thing. So if that does arrive, I will surely let you know how it goes. Everyone was certainly commiserating with me about this cover, and when it arrived in the mail for you, you felt just as dissatisfied as I did with how glossy and weird this is. Like, why would we do this? Oh, and then speaking of Veronica Speedwell, I unfortunately made it sound like I wanted recommendations for historical paranormal books, because I said that the only thing that could keep me reading the series at this point, because I've gotten everything that I want out of it, is if we totally switched tones and like went in a different genre direction, and if it became paranormal. I don't want historical paranormal, but I got a lot of recommendations. So if that's something that you're looking for, like Veronica and Stoker, but like supernatural, here are some ideas that came in. Thank you so much. I won't be taking them, but I'm really glad that people had recommendations to give, and I sparked something that made them think about books that they wanted to recommend to someone, so I wanted to give them to you. Oh, I also asked what these were called, or I think I just put it out there like, I don't know what these are, and a couple people informed me they're called Duras or Doritos. I don't know, I don't think it's Doritos, or maybe like, is that how Doritos came to be? Is they were trying to replicate these? I don't know, but apparently they're popular and people eat them with hot sauce. I think that's interesting. And then as usual, I got questions about things that I was wearing. So this is from Aerie. This is from Anthropology. This is from Aerie. This is from Aerie. And this one from Anthropology, I actually have in 2 colors now, because they were just about to, I've had this one in my cart for so long. I got the first one years ago and I wanted a new color, and I've just been, you know, not pulling the trigger. And then they said there was one left in stock, so I got it. There's a couple other colors that are cute too. I'll try to link everything down below, but I feel like a lot of things are probably sold out. But maybe you could find them on like eBay, or what's that website? Thrift. There's like a thrifty clothes Depop. Maybe. Every time I look on there for anything in my size, it's hideous. So perhaps I need to look more frequently before maybe things sell quickly. Last thing, everyone was so nice about my spinner wheel, which I'm loving. I'm stoked about. I had a lot of fun building it, and I was vlogging the process of building it, and then I was like, this is kind of silly. So I ended up deleting the footage. And then I saw people say like, oh, I wish I saw you putting it together. But perhaps in my next alphabet vlog, I will at least bring you along for building the next poster board part. Okay, and that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye!